Alrighty, folks, we are well into the new year. However, if you have not set any specific goals for this new year and you would like to, this is the episode for you. We are going to go over a particular framework called SMART, S-M-A-R-T. It is an acronym. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you have not. However, if you are looking for a way to develop a sort of an action plan or a way to make sure that your goals are accomplished, this is the episode for you. So we will go over that framework and some of my tips. Let's get to the episode. Alrighty, well, I forget who said it, but someone once said, not having a plan is a plan to fail. And I think that is pretty accurate. If we go into something with the best intentions, that's great. That's a great mentality to have. But more often than not, having deliberate systems or plans in place that help us achieve the goal or whatever it is we are setting out to do is going to be better than not having a plan. So sort of enter the SMART framework, S-M-A-R-T. Now, there are different iterations of this. Those letters stand for different things. This is what I use, this is what I use with my clients, and so hopefully it will help you out, and you can modify some of this to suit your needs. Now, this is sort of coming into the context of, we're at that time of the year where people are dieting, or they're getting back to the gym, or they want to be engaging in some new activity. So this sort of keeping that in mind, that's what we're going to use this framework for. So let's get started. So what does SMART stand for in my iteration of this acronym? So S, that's going to stay largely the same. Specificity. In weight training, you want the type of training you do to be specific. So if you are going to engage in any type of hypertrophy training, you want to engage in the appropriate intensities and rep ranges. And if you want to train your chest, you want to make sure that you do exercises that target your chest. Like you wouldn't be doing bicep curls to target your chest. That's not very specific. So you want whenever you're developing your goal, you want it to be a specific goal. So let's say a specific goal is we want to lose enough body fat to show our six-pack. So that is a pretty specific goal. Most individuals have abdominals of some kind that if you were to achieve a specific body fat percentage, that it would show. Now that body fat percentage is going to be different for everybody. Could be a little bit higher, a little lower. Some people might show it, 12% body fat. If you're a heavily muscular individual, you could show at a higher percentage of body fat. So a very specific goal would be to be able to see your six-pack after a set amount of time of dieting. So we have the specific goal. We want to see our six-pack. Now, how do we make that measurable? So this is actually going to add on to the specificity and make it even more specific. So specific, measurable, we have to be able to measure whatever it is that we are doing. In the context of this, to see my six-pack, I will lose 0.5% to 1% of my body weight per week until I reach said goal. After 12 weeks, regardless of if I've hit my goal or not, I will take a diet break. I will take a maintenance period so that I can begin to recover some of the accumulated fatigue that I have sustained. And then, upon completion of said maintenance phase, I will return to dieting until I've reached my goal of getting a six-pack. Now, that was a mouthful. That was a lot. That made what we were doing very measurable and hyper-specific. So I think the more specific and the more measurable you can make any goal, the easier it's going to be to achieve said goal. Now, that might have been overly meticulous, but we have to be able to measure whatever it is that we're doing, because what gets measured gets modified. If you can't measure it, like if you are, honestly, if you're intuitively eating or something like that, the chances that you're going to measure accurately what you need to remove from your diet week to week consistently isn't going to be as accurate as if you were to count your calories and take a 500 calorie a day deficit. It's just not. And if you don't weigh your foods, your sweet potatoes could weigh differently. Your chicken could weigh differently. Various other things. If you flexibly integrate some foods that aren't, considered your normal dieting food, like if you integrate fast food here and there, it's going to be a lot harder because a lot of those things are harder to measure intuitively. So by being this specific, I want to lose 0.5% to 1% of my body weight per week for 12 weeks, and then building in a recovery or maintenance period, and then return to dieting. We're getting a very specific, a very measurable thing that we are doing. Now, on to the next one. I like to split A into two things, achievable and adaptive. Achievable. How do we decide if something is achievable? So with 12 weeks of dieting, I think if you are in the, 12 to 15% body fat range for males, I think 12 weeks of dieting could get you, depending on how much muscularity that you have, into a body fat range that you would be visibly able to see your abs. Like, plus half percent, like let's say you're a 200-pound male, that's a muscular dude. 12 to 15% body fat, 200-pound male, you lost half percent, 2%, 1 to 2 pounds a week for 12 weeks. You get in range and you would see some abs. Maybe you want to take a maintenance phase for a little bit and come back and hit it again. But I think in that range of body fats, that's a pretty realistic goal to have. Now, let's say you were in the male and you are in the 20+% body fat range, 25% plus body fat range. One round of 12 weeks worth of dieting, probably not realistic, even with a built-in maintenance phase and then another sort of attack at it. You might get so low on calories that the sort of reverse out or recovery period might be pretty daunting and hard. So is it achievable? Possibly. But you also have to take into account, like, how does this sort of lay out in a calendar year? Like, is this going to take you into the holiday season? How long is this going to take? How much time do you have to dedicate to this? So you might be looking at multiple rounds, multiple years of dieting if you are at very high body fat percentages. So is your goal achievable within the framework, within sort of a biopsychosocial framework, within your own personal sort of physiology, with your own psychology, within the sort of social demands that you have? Is this goal achievable right now? So you have to look at that. Additionally, adaptive. So with adaptive, it sort of leads us into the R statement, relevant. I'll get to that more in a minute. But with adaptive, I mean, does this goal generally help lead me to a better life, more of the life that I want to live? If it is adaptive, awesome, fantastic. Let's go for it. If it's not adaptive, then we should really reassess why we want this thing, which leads to R, relevant. Now, I think other sort of SMART frameworks have this set as realistic. However, I think under the first three sort of dimensions of the SMART sort of framework, specific, measurable, achievable, that pretty much covers realistic, right? It doesn't say it outright, but that pretty much covers realistic. So relevant, is this relevant to my personal values? So why would that be important? Now, this is a question only you can answer. Does this goal align with my personal values? And it is important to have our goals align with our personal values for a couple of reasons. If this goal doesn't align with your personal values, why are you doing it? What is the point? What is the function of this? If you just want to look good for people, I think you have to assess whether or not that is something that you want to live your life by. If you want to go out and achieve things only because they would have other people treat you in a different way. Now, I think sort of social influences can be powerful. However, if we are engaging in goals and long-term behaviors, and a big chunk of the reason why we're doing it is for social influence or because of reinforcement that we get from others, we might want to reassess. Number two, if what we are doing aligns with our personal values and we are not doing it, why aren't we doing it? Personal values are just that. Personal values are how we want to live our life. Personal values aren't goals. They are a compass. They are a North Star. They are a guide. They are the thing that sort of orient us in the direction that we want to be headed in. And so I guess the question is, if your goal aligns with your personal values, why aren't you doing it this very minute? So making sure that whatever our goal is within the SMART framework, making sure that it is relevant. If it is relevant, it will make it more likely that you are going to accomplish said goal. Lastly, timely or time-bound. We've been talking about 12 weeks this whole time. I think that is a good goal for a dieting phase, 12 weeks. This allows you to set out a specific chunk of time, and there will be some benefits to that. Number one, not only do you see the light at the end of the tunnel, but this also gives the people around you, colleagues, friends, family, an idea of when this is going to end, because, changing your dieting up is going to be something that affects not only you, but it affects others. And it is much easier to achieve goals whenever we have that particular time-bound framework. So timeliness is going to be important. Specific, measurable, achievable, adaptive, relevant, time-bound. That is the SMART framework that I am putting forth to you will help you achieve your goals here in the new year. So, folks, if you make your goals specific, measurable, achievable and adaptive, relevant to your personal values, and timely, whatever that goal is, I have no doubt that you will be able to achieve that in the new year. And if you are unable to achieve the entirety of that first goal, you will be able to set another SMART goal that will help you get to where you want to be in the new year. I hope this episode was helpful. I hope you achieve your goals in the new year. I hope you're doing well. And I will see you in the next episode for another mental skill or a review or something else. Hope to see you there.